We talked a lot about labor. The labor situation is going to continue to be a challenge. He said, "You're going to, we think we're still going to see wage inflation and a labor shortage keep climbing through 2029." He said, "I would suggest you do a deep dive on the partnerships you have." And that, so we're a partner to a lot of people, as you know, my company,
Yeah.
Crew XP. We build for other people. So there may be people in their cost cutting strategy that are going to be, downsizing on both talent and space, and maybe looking to not have those fixed costs and outsource. So I'm encouraged by that, but when the music stops, we're still going to be the guys with the big box facilities and needing the labor. So we have to navigate our way through there. But wage pressures for sure will continue. He talked about the demographics, baby boomers, and for those that aren't clear on that, those are the individuals born from 1946 to 1964. By 2030, they are going to be out of the workforce, and so that's a big problem and puts more pressure on labor. He talked about the demographic. If you're 25 to 54 years of age right now, they're all working. But the older demographic beyond that is working less. And by 2030, they'll be out of the workforce. 16 years of age to 24 years of age right now is declining in their work numbers. They're opting to not enter the job market that young. Well, how old were you, Khalil, when you got your first job?
I mean, I was mowing
First
lawns and
paycheck.
stuff at like 12 years old, but
Yeah.
first like W-2 paycheck,
Yeah.
16.
60.
Yeah.
And did you always have a job from that point forward? A pay Did you always find something where there was a
Yeah, I
paycheck
was always
coming in?
working. I mean, it wasn't always W-2. But yes, I was working.
Me too. I think I was about 13, and it was, yeah, lawn care is what it started
Labor laws
for
were
a
a little more relaxed when you were
push.
getting started.
Well, and you know what? I think slavery was still, so yeah, we didn't call child services if I sweat too much, at
Yeah.
13 for the lawn guys down the street. But we just were grateful for the paycheck. And
Yeah.
anyway, I think this is a group, at millennials and under, they opted to stay in school longer, maybe get the advanced degree. More people opting to stay at home. They maybe don't have the pressure to be out there
Mhm.
and find the job, but it's created a different work ethic and a different expectation about what you really need, how much you need to work, and all of that. So, um,
So,
you
backing
yeah,
up real
go ahead.
quick. So, we have all this opportunity, just thinking out loud here. We have all this opportunity with 2025, but it sounds
Yes,
like what I'm hearing, hey, there's going to be great demand, but make sure you increase your prices and make sure that you hold on to your people, meaning spend more money on them, most likely.
yes,
So you could really dig yourself into a hole if you do not increase your prices, if you do not pay your people well, and you go and you sell all this work. So
yes.
yeah, well, how are you thinking about this data for your
Well,
company?
so one of the things I want to make sure we touched on was, so really, where are we going to choose to invest in our business in 2025 and even into 2026? And I think it's going to have to be people. Um, and I don't think that doesn't mean a ton more people, although right now in our plan, that I'm submitting to my team, it's three new people. So it's about a 10% increase in our numbers. But
Mm,
with the labor market what it is, we're paying more for high achievers. And
yeah.
I think we're seeing that. We've talked about this before with the future workforce issue. We're seeing that in the trade skills jobs on the show floor and in the back of the warehouse. We're seeing that I call it, in kind of the critical thinkers like project managers and, um, let's be honest, everybody's a project manager. I don't care if they're running your freight desk. You are man.
Sure.
If you're a mid-sized company and you have 150 storage customers, you are in the critical thinking and scheduling and project management business just in the transportation world. So, number one is people. Number two, I think we're going to be investing more than we have before in technology to try and automate and be more efficient in some of our processes. One of the
Do you know
great
what that looks like at all?
sessions
Like,
that
what specific technology or
yeah,
anything like that?
great. So, for example, um, we sat through, friend of mine who's these guys have been guests on our show before, Jordan Walker
Mhm.
and Hunter McKinley,
Yeah,
right? That created, Backtrack, the AI,
yeah,
booth, content capture software. So Jordan came out and spoke to our group on, artificial intelligence, and he was great, man, because this wasn't a long lecture in theory. He talked about 5 things in 45 minutes that you could start using Monday morning. And so one of the things I was captivating, like one was called Clay, and he talked about that on our show. And is it
yeah.
Zapier or Zapier? Is Zapier?
Yep, Zapier.
So, but you can use that technology to create workflows. I don't care if it's a lead and how you're going to follow up. I see that also being able to be used in the production side for sure, and the production planning and project management side. But rather than manual things or the way you've been doing it, there are automated ways to improve efficiencies and on how you're doing those things. So you're either doing them faster, maybe you're doing it with less people, or you can handle greater capacity because you're doing it more efficient. That's one example I think
Mhm.
of technology.
Okay,
I think for us, we'll hit that size where um, we run a series of softwares or apps in our dashboard, Khalil. And I know the redundancy of having, 6 or 8 separate things that aren't one enterprise software. And so there might be redundancy 2 to 5 times of data entry. That's the
yeah,
kind of stuff we gotta shake out, and that's not inexpensive, and I think I recollect from other companies, friends, my old boss, who it was great to catch up with Chris Stone at the trade group. I remember when they went through an enterprise software change, David Beach and the Atlantic Exhibits guys, they went through it. I think Impact XM, when they were much smaller, they went through it. Everybody was spending well into 6 figures on an enterprise software. By the way, ironically, all 3 chose different solutions, but all 3 spent about the same and talked about really a 2-year painful process of
yeah,
getting the behavior to change. Wouldn't
yeah,
trade it for the world now because the data and the analytics of for your own company are so great, but I know
yeah.
that is in my future, and I, dread that leap. So, anyway, people, technology, I think, to be determined, any equipment expansion for us.
Okay.
But I think it's really the people, the tech, and focus on efficient processes.